Thanks so much for grabbing your set of brushes, and I'd like to show you how to use them today. We'll go through each brush and the different ways you can use it and then make adjustments so you can customize it to suit your needs and make your artwork beautiful. So I wanted to show you how some of these brushes in the Celebration brush set work. So these are created for the app Procreate. So I'm going to show you how the brushes look in the document so you can decide whether it's something that you really want to add to your brush set or if it's something that'll work for your artwork or something you'd enjoy. So there'll be 12 brushes in your downloaded file and you install them into your Procreate app, and I'm just going to go through one by one and just use them with the same pink color here. It's going to be like a shade of pink like that, so you can kind of see how each one was going to look a little bit different depending on the dynamics that are set for the brush and everything. So this one is the Unicorn Funfetti brush, and you can use it like a stamp or you can use it as a stroke. So when you stamp it, it's going to look like that. So it has a lot of different elements in there. It has like hearts and stars, flowers, sprinkles, dots. And I just thought it was like a fun mixture, kind of like unicorn sprinkle cupcakes or something. So when you stamp it, it's going to look like that. And if you drag it along to make a stroke, you can go really light and it makes it kind of transparent a little bit. Or if you want it to be a little darker, you just press a little harder. And when you drag it along, it's going to make this cute like mixture of fun unicorn confetti kind of stuff. It does build, so if you have a lighter stroke and then you want to go over it again, they'll stack on top of each other and you can kind of build it up that way. Or you can just keep it more simple and just do, like a little bit like one layer. This one can get pretty big. So if you crank it all the way up to 100%, it's going to be a pretty large brush. And then it can go all the way down, make it really little too, which it kind of just looks like glittery stuff when you go at that level, which might also work for adding texture and stuff, but the actual shapes aren't really going to be visible at that point. But I think that the jitteriness of the color there is actually really pretty too. This next brush is called Heartfetti, and I'm going to use the same pink color here so you can kind of see what it would look like compared to the other one. And you can see it kind of like scatters these pretty little hearts across your paper when you do it like a stroke. You can press really lightly to get kind of a lighter effect there. Or if you press harder, it gets darker. So you can kind of control how much opacity you want there. It also can stamp. So if you just tap your pen on the page, you can just put little heart pieces of confetti. The brushes will also work differently with your finger versus the pen. You can't get light, like transparent looking one when you use your finger, but you can get the solid ones, which sometimes I want it to be more solid, and the pen is making it appear light. And I don't want to have to like press really hard. I can just use my fingertip and add the stamp that way. And then this next one is related, so I'm going to do that one next. It's Heartfetti Magic, and what makes it magical, you'll see in a sec here. So this one will jitter the color on you. So it's kind of fun to add, like if you wanted a mixture of sprinkles or a little bit of color variation there, then choose the magic brush and it'll do it with your stamper too. It also includes, as you can see, like a little sprinkle with it. So using your fingertip, you're going to get more of a shape like that. Using your pen, it'll like splay out the sprinkle and the heart and separate them a little bit. So you can kind of play around with it and see what works for you. And if you wanted something like this, but you didn't want the sprinkles included, then you can go back in and use the one that's called Heartfetti, and you can adjust the dynamics of it. You just go in the color dynamics and you can adjust the stamp color jitter, and you can change the hue a little bit or the saturation. If you change out the hue, you're going to get something that's more like what we saw with the Heartfetti Magic, only it's not going to have the sprinkles attached to it, which you might want something that's just the hearts. So if you wanted to adjust it to make it look more like the other one, then you would just go in here and you can mess around with your color dynamics a little bit. And then if you adjust it and you want to set it back, you want to reset it basically, you can go down to about this brush and just press reset brush, so you'll never be stuck with like a weird setting that you accidentally added, or if you wanted to switch it back or whatever. The next one is called Scattered Sprinkles, and it's like exactly what it sounds like. You can press lightly and get an effect, something like that, or if you push a little harder, you'll get these darker ones. If you use your finger, you're going to get something like this. And the color jitters a little bit too. If you want to change it so the color is not jittering on you, you just adjust it in the color dynamics again, and you can adjust this hue back down to 0 so it doesn't jitter around on you. It was at 49%. I'm just going to press cancel to leave it alone. If you ever need to reset it, you know how. You go in the reset about this brush and then reset the brush. This next one is called Sweet Sprinkles. So if you want to fill in a shape with this, I think that's the best use for it. So let's say you had a circle. Let's fill it in, and you wanted that to be filled in with the sprinkles. So what I would do is I would push select and make a new layer and turn off that layer. Choose your brush. Okay, and then you can just color over top, and it's only going to fill in the shape that you just selected. And I think that's a really cute way to add textures and stuff. And the more you go over it, the more texture it's going to add. So it just depends how much you want there. And then, of course, you could always stay in this layer. And then just choose a different color for your brush, like maybe like a light pink, and then color over top of this. And then your shape, it's all as one layer though, so like your shape has the texture in it, which also works fine depending what your project is. But I think that's a pretty fun brush for doing something like that. And then the next one's called Piñata. So this is a pretty fun one. It just creates like these fun little like ribbons. And this one would look cute for some like lettering, and it also looks good big or small. This one doesn't work as well if you're just using your finger, because you're just going to get like mostly the stamp that looks like that. But sometimes you get these little circular ones if you kind of like wiggle your finger around a little bit, and those could be fun too for like little like pom-poms or something. This one gets pretty big too. So that's Piñata. Similar is Confetti Party. It's just more dense. I'm going to put it next to the Piñata one so you can kind of see. Those are both at max brush size. We put this down a little bit so you can get a better comparison. And so you can see how the Piñata one's kind of more like scattered, and the Confetti Party is like really dense. Confetti Party is going to give you a similar shape when you tap your finger, but if you wiggle it a little, you get these cute pom-poms again. And if you use your Apple Pencil, then you get the pom-poms every time when you use it like a stamp. And that has a lot of color variation in it too. And you could even use it to make it look like something's like furry. And I think this one works really well for bright colors. When you use lighter colors, just looks a little bit like kind of like washed out. But if you take that color and you make it more saturated, it shows up a whole lot better, and I think it just looks really pretty. And it flows really nicely too when you're using your pen, so it's easy to drag around, and it's almost like a real piece of like a streamer or something. So that one is called Confetti Party. Now let's go to Glitter Party. So that's kind of like exactly what it sounds like. It's glitter. When you do one stroke across, you'll get like this scattered glitter with a little bit of the color variation, and then when you color over top, it keeps building and looking more and more sparkly. So depending how shiny you want it to look, you can just keep coloring to get it to your desired level, or you can just kind of like press down and do your stroke more dense when you're coloring. And that's the brush at the maximum size there. And if you do it smaller, this is at about 25%. It's like these pretty little sprinkles of glitter you can use to accent things and just add like a little bit of shine. And similar to Glitter Party, let's do the next one that's glittery called Super Sparkle. And so you can see that's very similar, but it has a lot more of the jitteriness in the color and also in the shape. So it's like these big chunky pieces of glitter, and let me show you that one in different colors. So when you choose like a dark bluish, like an indigo color, bluish purple, it's going to look like that. Let's try like a reddish pink, and then like a bright blue. And the nice one thing about this one is if you choose like a really light color like this, this kind of like off-white color, you can get this pretty iridescent glitter effect. And the same for your silvers. So you can see how it looks like silver glitter. And then this white one is going to look more like this pretty iridescent glitter, and it does build as well. So the more you color, the lighter and lighter it's going to get. If you have a dark background, it might be a little bit easier to see this. So like this is the off-white. You see it just has like a little bit of the color jitter in there. And you can see how sparkly they look when they're on a dark background. It's a little bit hard to see when it's on white. This also works for black, but I would suggest if you wanted to make black glitter, you do like more of a very, very dark gray, so that it has a chance to kind of jitter a little bit there. Or you could put your black glitter down and then go in really lightly with like a really dark gray. And that way it can build in luminosity too. Otherwise it's just going to kind of stay more flat for black. It doesn't build as well, but you can kind of work with it when you use a very dark gray and give the same effect that you would have if you were looking at real life black glitter. And then the last one I'm going to show you is like a goldish color. You can kind of see here how different colors can affect the brush a little bit differently. Like how this bright color gives you these like pretty iridescent kind of sparkles, and then the metallic ones, and then the white glitter. This one's called All Glam. And it's like a strand of sewn sequins. And this one also can get really sparkly when you stack them. So if you're doing a shape, say you want to do like a heart, you kind of like sew in your sequins there, and then we're going to go back over it a little bit. Okay, so you need to lift your pen, and you can see when you go back in, it looks like it's getting like really sparkly. This one also works with your finger, and you can see how the color jitters there. So if you wanted like some loose sequins on the sides or whatever, you could just tap those ones in. You can also do it with your Apple Pencil. So we can do it like a string, or we could do it like loose ones. So you could just kind of like tap your pen in to make the sparkly ones more random. And then it looks more realistic, I think. So that one's called All Glam. And then a similar one to that one, which also uses sequins, is called Sequin Sparkles. And these ones are scattered. They also get sparkly, so they build. The more layers you draw, They'll build up and you can stamp them in too with your fingertip or with the pen. They're going to keep building and building and getting lighter unless you create a new layer. And say you want to do another color in here. So if you do a new layer over top, it'll stop building and then it'll just only affect this particular layer. And it just adds some sparkly stuff and some fun things to your art. And I love sparkles, so I like stuff like this. The last one is glitter. This one jitters quite a bit as far as the hue. I chose pink, and you can see when you press, it's going to get more orangey. So it starts at pink, and then the more you press, it's going to get more and more of that like reddish orange. And if you press lightly, you get the original color you chose. And it gives you some nice variety in your color without going too far to the other end of the spectrum. It also builds so it looks sparkly. The more layers you color over top of one another, it's going to start looking brighter and brighter. If you don't want that, then you just make a new layer to fill in the white space and you can see that it's dark again. You can also stamp it in with your fingertip or your pen. And it adds a lot of nice texture there. So that's all of them. So you get all of these all bundled up in a pack, and you'll get a guide and instructions how to download them, how to install them, and everything you need. And when you use them in your art, be sure to tag me. You can find me at My McDoodles on Facebook and Instagram, and I would love to see how you use these brushes. For more fun projects like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to receive notifications when there's a new video. Don't forget to follow me on Etsy for more fun products like this. Thanks for watching!